I'm going to show you how you make a folded picot edge with a buttonhole, which for example is used on the neckline of a cardigan. And in this example we are pretending that this is a cardigan, and then this is the button band of the cardigan, which is a ribbed button band with also a picot edge. I'm starting by picking up stitches all the way out here on the button band. When I'm picking up stitches, I'm skipping every third stitch. So now instead of going through this one, I'm going through the next one. And this is so that you don't get a neckline that will stand up, but a neckline that will lie flat against your body. So picking up 2 and then skipping the third. Picking up 2, skipping the third. Now I'm going to knit back and forth in stockinette stitch. And I'm going to do that for as long as the pattern says. In my case, that is 1.5 centimeters. When I get to the last stitch on the row, I will always knit it so that when I turn my work around, I can slip the stitch with the yarn in front, so I will get a nice edge. Now my neckline is 1.5 centimeters and it's time to make the buttonhole. And I actually have to do it from the wrong side for it to be at the correct place. So I'm going to show you how you do that first and then how you do it from the right side afterwards. So you go ahead and purl until you have the number of stitches left on the needle that the pattern tells you. In my case, that's 7 stitches. And now I'm going to yarn over twice. So first yarn over once, then once more, and I'm going to purl 2 together. So yarn over once, yarn over twice, purl 2 together. And then purl 2, 1 stitch left and knit the last stitch. Slip the first stitch and then knit until you reach the yarn overs. Then you're going to knit the first. Now there's 1 yarn over left and you're just gonna slip it right off the needle. And this will help create a slightly bigger buttonhole than it otherwise would. And now we will knit until the end of the row. Now I'm going to show you how you make the buttonhole from the right side. And you're first going to knit the number of stitches that's set in your pattern. In my case, that's 5. So I slip 1 and then knit 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to knit 2 together and yarn over twice. I can show you again. Knit 2 together, yarn over once, and then once more. And then keep knitting. And we're now going to keep working in stockinette until the neckline's width is, as your pattern tells you, in my case, 3.5 centimeters. This time, when you reach your yarn overs, you are going to purl the first one and slip the second off the needle, and then keep purling. And now you're gonna keep working in stockinette for as long as your pattern tells you to. in my case, that's 3.5 centimeters. Now the neckline is 3.5 centimeters wide, and I am going to knit the row that creates the picot shape, which is the shape that you can see here. So I am going to start knitting 2 stitches together, then yarn over. 2 stitches together, yarn over. And then I will repeat that until there is 1 stitch left. And then I'm going to knit the final stitch. This is how the work looks like now, and I'm going to knit the same number of rows that I have from this fold that I'm creating here, because I'm folding right at the row that I am right now, and to the buttonhole. So that will be 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, including the one I currently have on my needles. So 3 more rows. You can also just measure that by length instead of counting rows if you want to. Now I have knit the rows I need, and I will create another buttonhole the exact same way as I did this one, because when I fold the hem, I want another buttonhole to be at the exact same place. This time I'm doing it on the right side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches, knit 2 together and yarn over twice. Then keep knitting. When I reach the yarn overs, I will purl the first one and slip the second off the needle. Now the pattern of this picot row makes it look like these buttonholes are not right on top of each other. So here you just have to trust that they are, because they are, and what matters is that they lies directly on top of one another when you fold the hem. Now I will keep working in stockinette until the distance from this picot row to the end of my work is 3.5 centimeters, because that's the same distance as I had from here to the bottom of the neckline. Now I am going to first cast off. Then I will break the yarn, and I'm trying to leave a long enough tail to use that to sew it down. So just going to cut my yarn, and I am threading the needle. We're going to fold our neckline and we will sew it in place. But when I reach this point where I have the buttonhole right on top, I will do a little detour. I will go up to the buttonhole and sew the 2 layers of fabric together, because you don't want any of these layers to be in the way when you are putting a button through. So we are starting by just sewing it in place. What's important when you sew it in place now is to remember that you picked up stitches in 2 out of 3 stitches. So you need to also keep that frequency when you're sewing it in place. Otherwise, it will be very skewed and you will basically run out of neckline compared to the fabric you have underneath. I also like to go in and just use this buttonhole as a reference, because that's the most important thing here, that buttonhole lies on top of buttonhole. Okay, now instead of keep doing the last bit here, I will take my needle and I will open up my fabric a bit, going through just a few of the purled stitches on my way up, just to keep the yarn in place, and then I will go through the buttonhole. Now the yarn is inside of the buttonhole, and I will just go through both layers, and I will go through the buttonhole once more. Then I will take my yarn and bring it just one place over, so it goes a bit towards the side, and then through both layers of fabric, through the buttonhole once more. Then bring it over a bit. And when I do this, I only bring it through one layer of fabric, so this string of yarn that moves from here to here will not be visible on either the right side or the wrong side. Going in through both layers and through the buttonhole. Now this part is done, and the fact that we did this is the reason why we made this buttonhole slightly bigger than the ones on the button band, because doing this makes it a little bit smaller. So now we are going to bring the yarn back to where we were, just securing it in a couple of places along the way. And then I will sew the last bit in place. Now I also don't want an opening at the side here, so I'm going to close that by putting my needle in right inside of this row of edge stitches through both layers. Now I came up here, so I'm going right back down in the next one through both layers, and then I am repeating that. Now I will bring my needle just back in and through both of those layers to the bottom of the neckline, where I'm just gonna weave it in. And that's it.